Welcome back to the Disciplined Lifestyle series. And I have got with me Dr. Anthony van Tonder, the main author and the brainchild behind this most amazing book, which is called the Disciplined Lifestyle book. What I love about this book and the genius behind it is the fact that Dr. Anthony was led to have 6 other authors involved in this book as well. So please don't forget to go and have a look out for the different authors, the interviews that Dr. Anthony's done with them, and find out the amazing hearts behind each of the sessions. So, Dr. Anthony, what made you decide to embark on this book? Randomly serious title, The Disciplined Lifestyle.
Nobody likes discipline, but here's the truth. I was out one morning on a morning exercise routine. I was having a jog and I was having my normal devotion time. And I sort of asked, I looked at the great, I looked at the skies, I looked at everything that was perfect. And it's sort of like, we're always asking you, can we have this? Can we have that? And we always have a list of supplication. Mm-hmm. And for once I thought, what about you? Is there anything we can do for you? And I had sort of had a bit of a sniggle reply like, And all I heard was the word discipline. I went, discipline? Wow, that's an interesting concept. And then I said to myself, but what about discipline? Is it that people don't have discipline, that you are more disciplined? Where do we go with this? And I just heard this little reply in my spirit in terms of spell the word. I went, DISC, and bam, I got it. The first part of the word was disc, which is about people and their behavior. And I went, oh, okay, all right. And then discipline, I went, disc I, and I literally looked up and I saw this mobile tower from one of the service providers. And I said, communication. And my mind went back to one of my sons in the spirit that I'm mentoring. And he always is on about communication and these little waves that come from the mobile tower. And literally, so that was the I. And then I sort of went, okay, disc I, PLINE. And I went, dude, what does that stand for? And it's like I had this little reply in terms of, well, you, the acronym specialist, sort it out. So I kept on jogging, and I tried something, and then all of a sudden it came to me, PLIN2E. And that I trademarked. And you want to know what it stands for? Putting love into execution. Wow. So that's where it comes from. That's the word discipline.
So for myself, who is actually one of these profiles. So for those of you who don't know, Dr. Anthony van Tonder, his specialist and his PhD, one of his PhDs that he has, is in actual fact in behavior modification. So he has spent years, I'm telling you years, over 24 years, actually even maybe longer, but let's go for 24 years, that he has been working on and mastering what does it mean to modify our behavior. And so in your thesis that you did for your PhD, your dissertation, you covered a lot to do with behavior modification. So just explain a little bit to us, what does this DISC stand for?
Okay, DISC stands for D is driver, I is influencer, S is supporter, and C is compliant. Now, when it comes to the modification part, because there ends the subtitle, self-control through behavior modification. I was very fortunate to be running a program at one of the largest coal mines in South Africa with 3,000 plus workers. And the problem was that there was a disconnect between the lower level and the higher level. And I realized that when I had my consultation with the higher level, they said, well, these people are just not coming to the party. And they sort of identified a few behaviors that were out of order, such as there was an attitude problem as opposed to a communication solution. Okay. I went, well, what we need to do is to change their behavior. Their behavior normally was, we don't want to talk, versus, hey, is there any way that we can converse and speak to each other? That's called behavior modification. That means changing behavior, modifying it into a sense that is to the betterment of all parties concerned. That's what behavior modification is in a practical sense.
Awesome. So if I, for example, so let's take my profiling, all right, because I'm obsessive compulsive in almost everything, which is a detriment to my own health. which means that I naturally resist discipline.
Yes, you would. Because,
He's honest.
your style says, when I mention the word discipline, you go, like, what discipline? I mean, your style automatically will reject discipline in any form because you do not want to be controlled. So here we have it. This is a person that says, you will not control me. I don't care what you do. Now imagine out in the workforce, a lot of people out there feeling absolutely controlled as opposed to feeling part of the solution. And this is where we hit things like teamwork and people basically having the right skill at the right job set. And that is the people who are demanding and driver personalities, put them in leadership. Let them shout the orders because that's what they're good for. But we look at the next person, the influencers, let's use them like you to influence others to say, hey, this is a good idea. Let's support it. Because once you have one or two or three strong influencers saying, let's do it this way, the rest will follow. But then you get to the supporter, the S that says, what a great idea. We'd rather work together and sing Kumbaya than all be fighting and basically rip each other's heads off. And then you come to those that literally fold their arms and go, And that's the thinking part. That is the compliant people that go, let's do this the right way. Let's not mess it
So
up.
stop right now and look at your body language, and you sitting there saying, does he really know what he's talking about? Then that's you.
So that's really what it's about. So I just realized that people battle with discipline of in itself. And let me just ask a few questions. Question. How many of you have started an exercise routine? I mean, it's the 1st of January, you say, this year, I'm going to get fit. And now you hop out of bed, you put your tackies on, you go for your run, and after the first 200 meters, I mean, you can hardly breathe. And then all of a sudden you decide, this is for the birds. And maybe it will last a second day, maybe a third day. And there goes the whole program. So I just came to the point in terms of when we have to discipline, it always comes back to us. So the issue of self-discipline then became the key of how to approach the thing on discipline. So that's in the physical realm.
Wow.
But it doesn't end there.
No, so I was going to say, so one of the things that I know that you absolutely love working through whenever in coaching sessions, counseling sessions, marriage relationship sessions, is you like to use Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So explain to me, what is Maslow's hierarchy of needs and what are they?
Well, basically, that's why I say, give me the book. Page 3, let's have a look at it because in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that first one level is what we call the physiological. There it is. And I want you to see it in the book. And I'd like people to understand that the solutions are in the book. And the first level is physiological. And that is that we have a sense of where we sleep, what we eat, etc. Then it all goes to, but where I'm sleeping, I want to feel safe. But once it's to safety, you say to yourself, but I hate being alone. I want to be loved. I want to belong somewhere. And then we sort of migrate and merge to the next level that is called esteem. And that is that we want to feel good about what we do. And then lastly, it's all about self-actualization, where it comes to its fulcrum, where basically you can say life cannot be better. But I've found that when I moved through Maslow, that is the 5 areas that it really represents. At level 1 was physical. You and I want to be on the first physical level. We want to be in good standing with ourselves. The second one was, that is that we wanted to go to a social level that we interact with people. But the problem was we needed to engage with the next level, which is called emotional, because so many people lack the emotional quotient.
Maybe I should read that section.
Some people lack the how-to, and instead of addressing the problem, they become the problem.
True story.
And then from there on, we move from emotional to financial, because you can only do it if you have the finances to back that you do it. Because let's face
True
it,
story.
some people lose a wheel off their car, the hubcap jumps off because financially they're just not coping.
True.
And then lastly, it all comes together spiritually. So if you look at those 5 areas of Maslow, I repeat them: physical, social, emotional, financial, and lastly, spiritual. So I looked at that model and I said, now how does the normal person relate to this model? I mean, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and the normal guy goes, hey, dude, I'm working in a factory, I'm wearing an overall, and listen, I don't have time for all these highfalutin things. So I then took it and I made it practical, calling the one area life areas and the others I worked impact areas. In other words, how do we take our life areas, which I mentioned, those 5 areas, and put them into impact areas, because if you can't speak into the impact, you'll not get change. So, one, on the physical level, where do you and I spend most of our time daily? Think about it.
Work.
That's it.
Work,
so the
work.
first level of impact is work. And I said, if I can get you self-disciplined and working towards team discipline and corporate organizational discipline at work, 80% of the problem is solved. And people then feel that they're in that physical safety of my work is providing income for me, and I am working within myself at work.
Would relationships as a husband-wife fit into that category as well?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Okay.
Jumping the gun, I go again.
No, that's fine. You need to just be on the basic level. Then the next level is called environment. Now, this is where we talk about safety. This is where you need to say to yourself, now, from the physical into the social. In your social setting, you want to know when you tell somebody your utmost, deepest secret that you can trust them. Well, that's environment. Now, you know the saying, and you've taught this many times, environment is stronger than will. So if you're in an environment where the environment sort of pushes everybody to believe a certain thing, they might even be acting on something that is non-legal, purely because they feel this is my place of belonging. But that's a false sense of belonging, because that social environment is leading you to down the garden path. And that's really the environment. That's not where it is. Your question was?
The relationship one. Where does relationships fit in?
At that third level, because now we kick in through the physical, through the social, now we hit the emotional level. If you think about it, when couples have a fight, there's no logic, it's emotion. I mean, they want to rip your throat out because I'm angry and I want to just take you out. And that's where the relationship comes in, and that's the impact area. If your emotional quotient is literally purposed in the right direction, in the right way, relationships will be fostered and will get to the next level.
And again, in the book, you're actually showing everybody, based on who their profile is, how they can overcome whatever struggles that they're going through in each of these areas.
You actually mentioned the key of what everything is about. And that is that if you don't see who you are and where you fit in, you won't understand it, because the four different people, the driver, the influencer, the supporter, and the compliant, all deal with these issues in a different way. This book, and that's why I just realized this book needs to help each one of those people in these 5 areas of impact, how to literally do it correctly. Because the response of my response to your response can be different.
Completely.
Mine is very down the line, and sometimes people even think that I'm rude, but I'm not. I'm focused, and I'd like to get a result. And you will think, don't you control me?
Okay? And I'm over emotional,
and you get over emotional,
like that hot popcorn in the popcorn pot.
That's right. This pops everywhere, and that's why I will miss the third level with you on relationship, because I did not, and this is the key. I did not go into your area of need to say, how can I help you? Emotion will come down on your side, and you will say, interesting. Because immediately you will feel I'm caring for you, as opposed to just doing what I'm doing.
That's interesting.
But as we rode on this road of impact, now we've done, your work is in place, your environment you're embracing, your relationship you're working on. But the next thing is all about where you want to have the right lifestyle. Isn't that true?
So true.
Because the thing is, everybody wants the right lifestyle. If you think about a reward, what do people automatically think? What's the greatest reward? Everybody wants to
have more money.
More money. And when they have more money, they can do what more?
They can have a better lifestyle.
And they can travel more. So their whole lifestyle changes, because the thing is, money solves everything, unfortunately. But we need to understand that money is just a tool.
It is.
It's the lack of money that is really the issue. And those 4 different behavioral types will all respond and react differently with the same scenario. And this book, from a behavior modification point of view, is to help you to understand it's okay if the one person does it this way and the other person does it that way, because there's no specific cookie cutter approach. You are who you are, and you will either respond through who you are or react through who you are. Now, I can tell you one thing. The 2 of us are reactors. Things happen when we're around. But the other 2 people are sort of, okay, I'm listening to this. They take it more easy. But there's no right and there's no wrong. That's really what it is.
You are who you are. No.
So ultimately, if the lifestyle is being looked after through your finances, what brings it to the final level? we wake up and asking, what am I here for? And that is only one impact area: purpose. What is my life purpose? Because every person, doesn't matter where they go to work, whether in a family unit, whether they're in a relationship, whether they are in partnerships at work, it's all about one thing: how do I pull this off so that I can fulfill my life purpose? And here's the truth: there's a spiritual element to that, because you cannot do it by yourself.
Yeah.
You need that impetus to go beyond who you are. Because remember, discipline is about disciplining yourself first, in order to have discipline with others, in order that society will be more disciplined per se.
Wow. And if we had more discipline, I think the world could possibly be a lot better place. So we've covered basically the outline of the book and where it's come from. So you've broken it out into Maslow's various different categories. So which of the authors have written, and why did you not write? I mean, you know so much. You've been working in this area for so much. So you literally could have written this book on your own, no problem. Being married to him for 30 years this year, I know he could have written this book on his own. So why did you share the workload?
Great question. When I consulted with the higher authority than myself, I said, how can we best convey this entity of discipline to a world? Because if you mention the word discipline, everybody goes, stop right there. I don't want to hear a word. And I just went, but surely these are all specialist areas. And when I said the word specialist areas, into my mind came, well, let a specialist take care of an area where they have become a champion thereof. So when it came to physical, immediately says, get a person on board that is a physical champion. I mean, their life from a physical point of view is absolutely in play. True. And none other than, we then got Saria van Wijngaard, who is a Pilates coach, who is a fitness coach, who is the personification of fitness in terms of what it looks like. I mean, any woman looks at her and go like, oh, I mean, they just cry. They want to look like her because of her discipline when it comes to the physical life. Then I said, okay, Lord, so in other words, I need to get a specialist in each one of these 5 areas. And so it is. Then the next area, which was social, I said, who's the person that I know that is socially so interactive, socially liked by people, speaks in public, and literally cares for the environment around them? And there, Annelies Boot came to me, because a teacher, a trainer, a mentor, and she's got a passion to make a difference, even with children with special needs. And I went, he's a caring person, but when it comes to social media, oh boy, there's no one else that I know that can hack into any social media and find the purpose of how to purpose that social media to the next level. Awesome. Then I got to the problem. I said, okay, we all lose it when it comes to the emotional side of it. And God just whispered in my spirit, Dr. Mamiki Malapa. Why? She's written a book on emotional quotient. She's written a book on how to control your emotions. She's written a book in terms of how to align yourself with your creator to get the help necessary to be successful. So she was the solution. Then it came to financial. I said, now, who do I know that actually looks at finances, that's a specialist and an expert and can advise people on many levels? I battled with that a long time until the Lord said, say it. And I went, I don't want to say it. He said, say it. My wife. Okay, all right.
That's me.
Doesn't she always say, I want to help people, and I dream of empowering people to have seven different income categories. Income streams. You see, I didn't know the word, income streams. And because I knew that you are a specialist in that, I felt you're the right person to ask. So Dr. Michelle van Tonna, also finance. And then I said, who do I know in the spiritual realm that really is making waves right now, that is not overly spiritual, but just knows how to apply the word, how to put your spiritual life into balance, because there's a balance required. And Dr. Richie Achukwu came to my mind. I've seen this man, he's spoken into my spirit, he's a mentor to so many people, he's a father. So when it came to the spiritual side of it, I then realized there are the 5 specialists each in those areas. And I said, well, Lord, then what do I need to do? He says, think it through. And each one of those, there's behavior, because I gave it to you. DISC. I, communication. PLNI2E, putting love into execution. And that became a trademark in terms of how do we literally love ourselves enough to say, from now on, when I start a physical program, the question used to be, why is it that so many people start exercising and then stop? They don't love themselves enough. You need to trust yourself enough. You need to love yourself enough to say, this time I will not fail. When it came to social discipline, the question was, why is it that I can't make friends? Why is it that I can't connect with people? And the answer was, if you get the right advice, you'll know that it takes work to socially become interactive and also socially become responsible, and to know that social media that has become such an asset can be your very worst enemy. Sitting and scrolling for hours can actually ruin your life. Emotional. Dr. Mamiki Malapo helped us understand through a book on emotions that it is about the control. Isn't it so nice just to lose it? But is it effective? Answer?
Not effective.
It's not effective. Nobody wins. And now she teaches you to basically have the emotional quotient, that EQ, okay? Emotional quotient, which is intelligence, to keep it on the racks. Then it came to you with the finances and the 7 income streams that really appealed to me. Okay, hold on. Most people just go to work, get a job, get a degree, and hope that that's how they're going to get ahead financially. But through your expertise, I've seen it's all about no. It's about diversification and about passive recurring income. In fact, every time we speak about finances, you ask the question, in 5 years from now, how much passive recurring income are you receiving?
Yeah.
And I had to judge myself and said, well, 5 years ago, it was X. Yeah. And I say 5 years later, has it improved? No. So what are you doing wrong? You lack discipline. Okay, and then last, when we came to the spiritual side, is that when Dr. Ritchie looks at the spiritual side, he really helps us to say, start believing in yourself. You are not a mistake. You have been fearfully and wonderfully made, and you are exactly the way you should be and who you should be. And he helps us embrace ourselves to then put discipline in ourselves so that we don't just try to have a spiritual path, but we develop it to the next level.
Awesome. Wow. Okay, so now, if you enjoyed this video, what I'd like you to do is please give it a thumbs up, share it with your family and friends, and continue to subscribe to Dr. Anthony's channel. Then the other thing is, if you actually want a hard copy of this book, you can click in a link below, get it from Amazon, and it will be delivered to you. Alternatively, if you want just an ebook copy, PDF file, it's a lot of pages, but you can get it as well. There's a link here that will take you to our website where you can buy the book and buy the ebook section as well. And then I'm going to twist Dr. Anthony's arm. That triangle that he spoke about, there's going to be a link in there just for that with the PDF so that you can actually look at what he's saying. Now, there's going to be another link that's going to help you below here. If you want to know who you are, then we're going to put a free link below on how you can do a free DISC analysis. Now, remember, profiling is one thing. There's a whole lot out there, and I do suggest you put the pattern together. But this is the roots, the ground level of beginning to understand who you are. So thank you, Dr. Anthony. I hope you enjoyed that. And wow. Don't hesitate to get the book for yourself now. Take care. Cheers.